from Down Under.
Do or do not. There is no try.
G'day, mate. How you going? Welcome back to the one, the only, Fantha from Down Under on Fantha Tracks Radio. I'm your host, Adam O'Brien, and welcome to 2019, the year of episode 9, and supposedly the end of the Skywalker part of the Star Wars saga. So, Happy New Year, and I hope you enjoyed your holiday break back in 2018 through to now, 2019, and I hope you enjoyed your New Year's. Well, out here in Australia, it's absolutely stinking hot. That's right. Humidity is right up there at 100%, and we are enjoying some of the summer out here. We can say that's quite uncomfortable kind of weather for us out here in December usually through to January. It is the hottest time of the year, and we've got highs of almost 35 to 40 degrees some days. So you can imagine we're spending a lot of the time inside and watching films. And, of course, watching Star Wars. That's right. Keeps you cool. Especially if you're watching Hoth. Somehow it has a radiating effect of making you feel cooler. On tonight's episode, we have Mooncat Drums back. That's right. Carl Bayliss for part 2 of his chat from last year. And also joining me is Blair Hiscock of By Saga to chat a little bit of Star Wars. All here on the Fantha from Down Under. Joining us next is the one, the only Carl Bayliss, who of course is a regular on Fantha Tracks and is a dear pal right here when it comes to music. That's right, we're going to talk a little bit of music and a little bit of Star Wars for part 2 of our chat with Mooncat Drums here at Fantha from Down Under.
Martin Keeler, who we keep mentioning, that's called us the Martin Cast.
The Martin Cast.
He told me that Din was coming over to the UK and was looking to do some shows while he was over here. So I, through some friends of mine who run an open mic night at a venue local to me, was like, yeah, we can get him like a feature set. So he's, instead of the usual sort of 3 songs, 15 minutes, we can get him a longer set to, showcase his music. He's coming from Canada at the end of the day. Don't really just give him the 3 songs and write you off stuff. So he came up from London. He'd been stopping with Paul Bateman in London. He'd done a couple of shows in London. Came up to the Midlands. I was already playing the open mic with another of my bands. So as he came in, I was on stage. I came off, met him, had a chat, and that's other than sort of messages on social media and stuff. That was the first time I physically met him, and I'd said to him on social media, if you want me to tap along on a couple of songs, let me know. And he was like, oh yeah, absolutely. The whole F105 vibe is that, if I pick people up along the way that can be part of the experience, then that's great for me, and hopefully enjoyable for them as well. So I start recounting exactly this story to him, and then I didn't realise till I listened to a podcast, I didn't make the connection that you were the singer of the Rebel Force radio song that led me to be in, sort of doing these jingles that turned me into a Fantha tracker, and through the connection with Martin, we've arranged this gig, and now you're here, and I ended up playing drums for the whole set for him. There you go. Six degrees of separation.
Unbelievable,
in Star Wars fandom and music.
It really is. There's something in the force there, because it's definitely, you don't get those sort of circles like that when it's not something in the water. Like there's definitely something there. One of the great things too about it is I love that music is kind of like a language. It's a language that only some get, some understand, and that's one of the great things about jamming. It's kind of like the Force. Music is the Force. If you understand the Force, you can go along with it. You can flow with it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like, I've got the F105 album. I knew the Rebel Horse Radio song. There were a couple of other songs in there, but it was literally a case of Tim turning around and going, "Okay, this one's," or he'd start playing a bit of guitar, and I'd just jam along. And as I say, going back to my influences, that whole thing of not being more of a groove player, and having done the whole covers band thing, you generally tend to play more song oriented than, okay, you want me to play, and I'm going to go round the drums 15 times in the first 3 bars. It is. I'd like to think it's a bit of a skill, because it's involving you listening to what's going on around you and reacting to that. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic in terms of just the experience of doing it, the reaction that we got from the people in the room, which was very good. I think I picked up a few new fans that night. People that were, have now followed him on Facebook and that sort of thing, and sold a couple of CDs as well. So, the lifeblood of the touring musician. Where's tomorrow's breakfast coming from? Oh, thank you. You bought a CD. I can eat.
It's great, isn't it? That sort of gypsy lifestyle where you pick up and you move to the next gig, and it's word of mouth, because word of mouth always works better than any of these new ways that they've been doing. I think ever since American Idol, and they have all all these different reality TV things. Sure, some of those people and contestants are musicians in their own right and stuff like that, but the music should really be the star, not so much the star. And that's why I think a lot of bands have stayed. Like you mentioned, bands like Def Leppard and stuff like that. It's not their stage show that they're famous for. It is the music, and the music still holds up. Yeah.
There's a guy again from local to me, like a Miles Hunt, who was the singer in sort of 80s and 90s band The Wonder Stuff. He's currently embarking on a tour under the moniker of The Custodian, and the whole sort of premise of that is he was having a conversation, I don't know whether it was an interview or what, with Tom Robinson, with the Tom Robinson band Fame, and the subject came up about sort of the back catalogue of songs. When you've been a musician for 30 or so years, and you're constantly putting out new material, you've obviously got a wealth of back catalogue. And he posed the question to Miles. He said, "Who owns your songs?" And so Miles went, "Well, I guess the publishing company of whoever it was at the time." And Tom Robinson went, No, your fans own your songs. He said, you are merely the custodian of those songs, and you deliver them. But people have fallen in love, got married, got divorced, had children, not necessarily in that order. But, people have lived their lives with your music as the soundtrack. The songs belong to them. They give your songs the life. You are merely the vessel that brought those songs to them. So those songs now belong to those people, because you know, your number 7 hit from 1993 is the first song that 200 married couples dance to, or things like that. So that song is an intrinsic part of their lives. So yeah, and that kind of resonated with me as well. And I don't think I had that conversation with Dean. I must mention it to him. But it's that same thing that you are responsible for creating the song, but it takes on a whole new life when it's out in the sort of public domain, as it were.
I have to agree. We're sort of like, we're same thing with writing novels or movies. People only let go of their work. I think that's what any artist does. You create something, you let it go. I think the biggest offender of holding on to it too long is probably George R. R. Martin of Game of Thrones, where he's had the Winds of Winter sitting there for I don't know how many years now, and even he's got to the point where I need to finish this. He needs to be able to let it go. But and there's maybe it's something with George's, because our George Lucas, of course, and he goes, well, I let it go, and it wasn't quite what I wanted to do, and he even did it with THX. I mean, he's one of those things, and interesting enough, an Australian podcast out here, Force Material, actually looked at a painter recently and thought the same. Would you ever get somebody like, I think they said on Force Material, somebody like, your Leonardo da Vinci or something like that, who grabs the painting back and goes, well, it's not quite what I thought the Mona Lisa should have been. It should be a bit more like this. And then puts it back out there and goes, well, that's actually what I wanted. And then you're kind of like, hang on, that's not the Mona Lisa. So it's, I think that same sort of thing with music and stuff like that. Once it's out, do we still own it? But we are custodians, It's interesting that. Yeah. Now, one of the interesting things here with you on Fantha from Down Under is we want to get your input on where things are going to go in the next Star Wars film. Episode 9, what do you want to see?
What do I want to see in Episode 9? I'm going to steal a march on Martin again and say, Constable Zuvio.
Zuvio!
Yes, he's brainwashed us all.
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah. Again, to direct people to fanthatracks.com, my review of the novelisation of Last Jedi has been posted in the last day or so, as we record. And I say there, I'm one of the people that I'm not totally in love with Last Jedi, but I'm not as polar as some people on, oh, I love it, oh, I hate it. There are bits in there that I like, there are bits in there that I just thought I can kind of get, and especially now having read the novelisation, where things like Mary Poppins in space is done, or it's described in a different way, such that you don't get the vision of sort of Superman flying off towards the blown up bridge of the Rados. But I actually quite liked the handling of Luke. So I know some people absolutely detest what they did.
Oh yeah.
And again, the book adds a whole level of depth to that. He's not just decided to take his ball away and stop playing. He comes across as a very sort of tortured, beating himself up. The book opens with a dream sequence where he's never left Tatooine. And the whole sort of backdrop to the Acto sequences is this sort of very tortured soul. He's struggling to cope with his own failure, what he sees as the failure of the Jedi Order, and he's really struggling to sort of say, well, if I come back, I can't put this right because the Jedi have consistently failed.
Mm-hmm.
They failed to stop Palpatine. They failed to survive Order 66 and the creation of the Empire and everything else. So, in terms of where 9 goes, I think there has to be, the sort of clearly now Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Luke. I say clearly. We were having a discussion the other week where perhaps he was force projecting himself onto Acto to force project himself to Crate. So he could be somewhere else entirely. This is the sort of late night conversations we have on Fantha Tracks. So, yeah. Well, yeah, I hope they don't try and retcon too much and sort of go, oh, yeah, well, all of that was one reality that could have played out, however, this is where we go. I think, and I've been listening, I listened to a couple of the podcasts where they've been discussing, do we want Rey to be linked to a legacy character, or do we actually... Does her story stand without her becoming part of that saga? Part of the Skywalker. Is it actually the sort of rise and fall of Anakin, and then the rise and fall of Kylo, and that's the end of the Skywalker saga? And whether that then leaves Daisy open to coming back to do. Rey, the Next Generation, etc., somewhere down the line, then that's one of the angles. I just think they've got JJ in. JJ's good for look and feel, and I think I don't think it's going to completely win back everybody that's been horrified by The Last Jedi, but by the same token, I think it will, or I hope it will, go some way to sort of redressing some of those issues. But I'm actually more excited by the other things that are going on now. We talked about Game of Thrones earlier. The trilogy that is supposedly being planned by them, which I think everybody is thinking is going to be basically Star Wars Game of Thrones. So, nice the Old Republic era or something of that ilk.
Hello, this is Mark Telfer on Fantha Tracks, Down Under.
Well, he's going to be talking a little bit of, Christian Hayden. Well, there you go on there. I've got a fellow Fantha, that's right. Somebody who is a bit of a collector, that's right. He collects things, Star Wars, and he customises them too. Coming all the way from Scotland. Guess who it is? It's Mark Telfer. Mate, how are you?
I'm good. Adam, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. Are you the new, Jimmy? Are you the new?
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Now, of course, you are a fellow Fantha, doing some great Fantha work over there. Tell us about your New Year's.
My news?
No, your new year, 2019.
My new year. It's just been quiet. Just had a quiet Hogmanay with the family, and it was all good, clean fun. How was yours?
Oh, it was good. I slaved away working for the boss.
The boss man.
The boss man, that's right. Now, tell us about what you think 2019 is going to bring you with Episode 9, The Zuvio Awakens.
I think I've absolutely no idea. J.J. Abrams has got a big job in his hands, trying to resurrect the work that Ryan Johnson done, so I have absolutely no idea how he's going to do that. So I think it's an open book at the moment. But I wish him every success with it, because I'm hoping it's going to be a worthy ending chapter of this trilogy.
Will this be the Snap Wexley revenge film we want?
It might be. He might manage to find a boiler suit big enough to get into and zip it right to the top and be quite content.
Now, of course, this film is one that's going to wrap up 3 trilogies. That's right, not just the sequel trilogy. So will we see the likes of, who knows, for the Force ghost of Anakin, maybe?
Well, there's been rumours around Christian Hayden being involved, or Hayden, oh God almighty, I'm getting myself all wrapped up in tape here. But there's been rumours of making an appearance in some shape or form, but who knows if that's actually going to come to pass. But one thing I'd really love to see would be Billy D. Williams in some shape or form, just to give us a nod back to the original trilogy. Because we're kind of devoid of original characters now, so it'd be good to sort of see him finish his story too.
Now, may I ask, was that Christian Hayden you said? Christian Hayden, a brand new actor to the Star Wars saga. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, he was. I don't know what sort of Force perspective he had, but I think he was a middleman or something, a grey Jedi or somewhat.
Yes, very much so. Now, of course, Scotland has had so many great characters that have been played by, let's just say, some of the great actors from Scotland. Of course, we've had Ewan McGregor as the one, the only Obi-Wan Kenobi. We've also had Emperor Palpatine, who also is played by a great Scottish actor, Ian McDiarmid.
Yes, indeed. Very fine actor. Very impressive in the prequels and edited original trilogy. We've also got Dennis Lawson, Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Ewan McGregor's uncle, who was Wedge Antilles in the original trilogy as well. But yeah, and one or two others like Lewis MacLeod and who done the voices and the Phantom Menace. I think it was, if I'm right, it was not Sebulba. Was it Sebulba? Or Watto? One of the three. One of the three. I think
Sebulba wants his burger.
Sebulba. He's going to be the
Sebulba will want his burger now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Sebulba.
Some of the Fantha boys are going to be there as well. And girls possibly, so it's nice to catch up with them. But yeah, a wee bit of a Scottish presence. Don't forget Darth Maul with Ray Park from Glasgow.
The amazing Ray, all the way from Glasgow. I want to see him in the next Braveheart. Braveheart 2, Judgment Day.
At last we'll reveal what's under our kilt.
Aye, Jimmy. Now, you listen here. Robert the Bruce come down to get you now.
Aye.
And may I say, too, that to all the Fantha trackers out there, and, of course, the team at Fantha, a very, very happy New Year. And to you, Mark, too, and your family, we wish you a very, very happy Fantha.
Thank you. You too, Adam, and everybody out there.
Hey, wee laddie here is going to be on Fantha Tracks talking customised figures with more and more. Well, say goodbye, Mark.
Goodbye, Mark.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Fantha Tracks, the Fantha from Down Under, brought to you by the wonderful people at the one, the only Fantha Tracks Radio, believe it or not. That's right, with Mark Newbold and the gang. Well, joining us all the way from Brisbane in Australia is the co-host of My Saga podcast and, of course, the amazing host of Pops Culture, the one, the only, Blair Hiscock. Pal, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you? Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to all our listeners.
Yes, and may the force be with you for 2019.
Yeah, and it's going to be a forceful year, I can tell. Very forceful.
Oh, definitely. I'm really excited to have the year of 2019, Phil, not only with Star Wars, but obviously there's a lot of different things on the horizon for this amazing franchise. But anyway, how was your Christmas break?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Bit hot, bit warm, but as it is here in Queensland. But yeah, a bit of a quiet one actually. We didn't have as many family things going on that we usually do, so a little bit more of a laid back one. So that was good, and got to catch up on a few shows and movies that I've been wanting to. So it was quite enjoyable. What about yourself?
Well, we just had a very, very quiet, run of Christmas dinner and stuff like that, and catching up with rellies. We had my sister and her husband up from Sydney, and of course, any time they're away from Sydney, even if it's just to Newcastle, it's a holiday.
It's awesome, mate. Yeah, so it's the time of the year, I suppose. We only get to see a lot of our relatives, sparsely, so we got to make the most of it, hey?
100%. You'd use the time wisely. And, of course, I came off 6 weeks of annual leave to head straight into the silly season in the retail market. So, for me, work-wise, it was ridiculous. But have to say, with the closure of, particularly for Star Wars fans, they all know the closure of the Toys R Us stores has, I think, personally affected a lot of the Christmas for Star Wars merchandise, because it's not as readily available in your big W's, your Kmart's, your Targets as it used to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can sort of see that for a little while now. I think since The Last Jedi, really, it's been a little bit poor.
Mm-hmm.
As we know, I think retailers are a little bit scared at the moment after Force Awakens. They were saturating the market and then being left with mountains of stock. I think that these days retailers are a little bit more timid when it comes to Star Wars, unfortunately, and we're seeing that as well in other stores over here, like your reject shops and your TK Maxxes and places like that, which are getting, especially with the Black Series, getting a lot of the figures that we've seen going for silly amounts on eBay, and all of a sudden you can pick these figures up for $10 to $15. So. It's a little bit sad for the Star Wars merchandise market at the moment, here in Australia anyway.
Definitely. I think that, at the end of the day, it's strong for the likes of the local developers that weren't with Toys R Us. Obviously, things like Mr. Toys, Toy World's taken off in that market because there's no competition now. They really are, the McDonald's of that era.
Exactly. What's that new toy place that's just opened up recently that seems to be wanting to fill Toys R Us's shoes? There's a few places around. I know there's one down your way, mate, down to the Gold Coast somewhere. But,
okay.
Down at Robina, I think there's this new toy shop I've seen advertised a few times. And there's a few of them. I know there's one down in Sydney and there's a couple in Melbourne. But I've been planning to get down and have a look at it, but I just haven't got there yet.
And it looks like I might have to go and check this out for the Fantha crowd, especially. Exactly. I think one of the things that Toys R Us themselves have been had their locations picked up by 10-pin bowling places, Time Zone, and even now a karaoke bar.
Oh, really? Oh, I must head down there. Oh, that'll be a worthwhile replacement. I don't mind a bit of karaoke. Karaoke's
fun, especially when we're singing Queen.
Oh, definitely when you're singing Queen. I mean, who doesn't want to get up and strut around like Freddie Mercury?
Now, of course, folks, Blair is a huge fan of Freddie and, of course, the band Queen. But, I mean, as I am as well, I just love it. I think one of my favourite soundtracks, apart from Highlanders, the songs that are on that one, I think the greatest for me is Flash Gordon. To this day is my favourite film soundtrack.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Flash was really the thing that got me back into Queen back in the day. I remember I was about 15 years old when I think Queen's Greatest Hits came out back in 1981. And I can still remember a friend of mine had a copy of it, and just hearing Another One Bites the Dust played to death. And I got a copy of it, and then about a month later on the school holidays, I was in the city and walked into a record shop, and there for $2 was the Flash Gordon soundtrack. And I had to buy that straight away because, being a big sci-fi fan, seeing Flash, the movie, loved the music, bought the soundtrack, and from then on it was a love affair with Freddie and the boys from then, basically. So to this day, yeah.
I love it. And, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody, not only one of the greatest songs, but now films out there.
I know, it's amazing. And this has been coming for about a decade, and I'm actually heavily involved with a Queen tribute band here in Brisbane called Killer Queen, and I can remember just 10 years ago talking to the members saying, when this movie finally comes out, it's going to be really good for you guys, and it has really proven to be. I mean, they're always doing interviews, and their shows and that have increased basically tenfold since the movies come out. So, I think it's great. Whether or not the stories are as accurate as a lot of people would like or whatever, it was just a great time of the movies and just perfectly captured the magic of Queen and what they were and the power of Queen. And Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury was really something to behold. I mean, sure, he didn't look 100% like Freddie and but he really captured the spirit of the man. And I was just really happy with how it's done. And big surprise at the Golden Globes the other night that bringing home the big gong. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting maybe Rami to get Best Actor because he deserved it. Mind you, I hadn't seen any of the other performances that were nominated, but he just was absorbed by Freddie Mercury's character, and I thought it was great. But to actually win the Best Picture, it was just mind blown for me because I really didn't expect him to take it home. I thought Star Is Born was probably gonna win it, but no, it's great, and I'm just amazed. I know people who have only been really passive Queen fans who've seen it 4 and 5 times. I've seen it 3 times, and I've enjoyed it every time. And I can't wait to get my hands on the Blu-ray and whatever else when it comes out because it's just it's just a wonderful film. I really like it.
100% agree. It's fun. It's musical packed. I mean, that's one thing I think people come back to. They know the songs, so they come back and listen to it. But also, the life of Freddie is interesting, and the band as well, of course, and the formation of Queen. But I tell you, I think that Rami Malek, I think, brought to it a sort of sense of energy and earnestness to the performance. But one of the interesting things is I've been sort of seeing him coming along in the different TV shows he's worked in. He worked in the Pacific out here, which I thought he did fantastic with of course, which was kind of like a sequel to Band of Brothers. And I know my brother loved that because at the time I was working night shifts, and when the Pacific came out, we would always watch those basically for my breakfast time when they were on TV. So we sit there going, righto, whereabouts are they now? Near Singapore. All right, okay, cool. And they're doing what they're doing. And just the work. I mean, obviously this was all shot up near Port Douglas or wherever it was. Which is, interesting. We got all these, like, Hacksaw Ridge shot out here as well, and there's there's even one at Pimpamar here on the Gold Coast that was shot up here. Right, yep.
The Raid, what was the Raid?
What was the Raid, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It was Martin Chalkers, I'm trying to think of who else was there, Gary Sweet.
Of course. It's Australian. Gary's and everything. No.
Yeah. It's got his little M1 carabine. Right, guys, get over there. Oh, you bloody hell do this, eh? But, he just shows, obviously, the location. But, I love Rami's performance, and I just think the whole package it's great. I have not seen A Star Is Born yet, but I'm very keen to see that too. Look, because Bradley Cooper's, for me, I suppose I haven't seen all of his work over the years, but from what I've seen, it's always been entertaining, and he puts his heart into it. He's from the Actors Studio, so he obviously does quite a bit of work. But again, it's great. I've loved we've seen to see a musical one. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because Bradley Cooper, he directed Star Is Born as well. I think he as well. So he's probably a new up and coming talent there. I will get around to seeing it at some stage. It's just been so much happening in life, and it's been a bit difficult to get there. But But not so difficult to see Bohemian Rhapsody 3 times, though.
Oh, yeah. Now, we're talking about an interesting year heading into Star Wars. Obviously, December is going to be bringing about the end of the Skywalker saga. But before we get to that, what we're leading up to it, what films are going to be leading us that way? Well, we've got the likes of Roma, Hellboy, Aquaman, already come out. Aquaman, arguably, an interesting but overblown, fantastical DC film. Again, DC can't land these films the way they need to be. I think they really need to look at their story group and regroup a little bit. Maybe not go and spend all that money. The other one, James Cameron's year ahead of us. Battle Angel Alita with Robert Rodriguez. So there's a lot of big films, but which one is going to, try and go head to head with J.J. Abrams' next film? It's going to be interesting.
Well, I mean, I think it's been really good for Aquaman this at the moment not having Star Wars this December, because I think you wouldn't have been seeing the numbers for Aquaman that you would have if Star Wars would have been out this year. Whether or not Solo would have pulled in those sorts of numbers or not, but it still would have been competition, because I really think they should have released Solo at Christmas and given the film another 6 months to tighten it up and fix whatever needed fixing, and just relaxed a little bit and just got it out there, because I think we'd have seen bigger numbers at Christmas time. But really, that has really worked in Aquaman's favour, not having Star Wars at Christmas. And look, Star Wars was missed this year. We've just gotten used to having a Star Wars December, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to that this Christmas. But and I've said before on our show and that we really need a break. We really need the 18-month breather. But I mean, we've got plenty of Star Wars coming up. Besides that, we've got a new television series coming out as well. We've had the Resistance television show, animated show, and whatever else is over in America. Of course, we've got Star Wars Land opening up in Disneyland in both locations. It is a huge year for Star Wars this year. But I think, we've really needed that, a little bit of breathing space to sort of miss it again. We'll see what the year brings. But, bring it on. I think that at the end of the day, Episode 9 will be probably the biggest movie of the year, box office-wise anyway, I predict. So.
Definitely. I mean, obviously we already know that we're getting more Luke. We're getting a little bit more this, a little bit more that. We're getting some interesting castings added to this. We've got a doctor in this. Doctor who? What? Matt Smith.
Yep.
And, of course, I've got to give a nod, while we're at it, to the two Doctor fanatics themselves, the Whovians. That is, of course, Kevin the Raider Nerd Reitzel and Carl Wagner over at FPN, because they absolutely love it. Of course, I did a little bit of artwork to throw it back at them. A bit of Whovians. That's last night. But I've got to say to the fellas, they love it. And go and check out their show on the network called the only Type 40 with Dan Hadley. They absolutely love it over there. But anyway, getting back to, I think one of the interesting things is we've got, obviously, the returning cast. Decidedly, Last Jedi is what it is. It's a love it or hate it film for a lot of fans. And I think if anything, it's really given JJ a bit of an interesting challenge to, what kind of resolution is he going to give, not only for this trilogy, but for two other trilogies. It's wrapping up everything.
Yeah, well, he's really had his work cut out for him. Now, look, as far as The Last Jedi is concerned, I was sort of in two minds when I first saw it, but over the last 12 months, I've really grown to love it. Mm-hmm. Grown to love it. Look, Canto Bight aside, there are parts, but there is dumb stuff in every Star Wars movie, so that's not really an excuse. I mean, I always say, can you imagine how social media would have gone on the meltdown if it existed when Return of the Jedi came out?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh, they've got another Death Star, little teddy bears, Princess Leia in a bikini, I mean, it would have just gone nuts. So,
no, that's right.
Exactly. And in all reality, I've really come to appreciate and enjoy the film and Luke's journey, especially. I mean, to me, he was in that movie as what a Jedi would be, as a Jedi. He was a Jedi. I mean, he's not 25 years old anymore, and his journey was, for me, very satisfying. And so I'm really looking forward. Yes, I mean, look, JJ has been handed a lot of red herrings to sort out. I mean, he set it up at the end of The Force Awakens as a great launching pad into something that everybody wasn't expecting. So now he's got to tie all these loose ends together. I'm hoping that we're getting like a 3.5-hour movie.
Oh yeah,
because I think it's going to need to be.
Yeah,
I don't want to split into part 1 or 2 and 2 because people are going to be absorbed by this thing. And look, in all seriousness, I believe it's going to be a satisfying conclusion, but it's going to open up that much discussion online. It's going to make The Last Jedi, look like a weekly television show because, no, I'm serious. The stuff that's probably on the plate with JJ, as far as Luke is concerned, is just going to be mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You're never going to see the Force used in any other way before. Even, Princess Leia's little tiptoe through space is going to be nothing to the stuff that you're going to see in Episode 9. Right. So, bring it on. I'm all for it. I'm really going to be interested to see how he ties the whole thing up together. I don't really think that maybe the Skywalker saga will be completely finished with this. I've got a feeling there may be like another 5 years, and they may look at 10, 11, and 12, perhaps. I mean, look, let's face it, we weren't expecting 7, 8, and 9. The Skywalker saga was finished with Return of the Jedi, as far as I was concerned, So we weren't expecting new films at all. So, because I really couldn't see where they could have gone after Return of the Jedi, really. It has opened up new possibilities and that, but I'm just hoping, and I'm sure he will, it'll all be tied up. Sure, Episode 9 is going to have dumb stuff in it too. There's going to be people complaining about it when it comes out. There always will be. But I've got a feeling that it's going to be. And JJ knows what he's doing. And but I don't envy the guy at all. I mean, I'd absolutely hate to be in his shoes. Especially too seeing the absolute the fan reaction to Episode 8. Who'd want to come in on that? I mean, you're going to get to a point where nobody's going to want to direct Star Wars. Why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you? If you're going to put yourself out there, that's going to affect basically your whole life. Every year, from then on, you're going to be known as the guy who's done whatever to Star Wars, and surely that's got to affect whatever career prospects down the track you might have as well. So it'd be very difficult to direct a Star Wars film, especially now, and especially because with just how toxic, the fan base is, and it is really, really sad. But unfortunately, that's the world that we're living in these days.
It really is, and I think the interesting thing is, I've seen it in Star Trek only about probably 10 years ago now. When this is before JJ's first film came out. Star Trek has a very much like a Star Wars fandom. There's either there's full on fans who follow it religiously, others who might read the books or whatever it is. But there's a lot of opinionated views on whether whichever way on each thing. And it's interesting with Star Trek that we kind of saw that when JJ came in and sort of, I suppose, made it more mainstream to a certain extent. Made it
Star Wars is what he did.
Yeah, he did. He really did. He made it, as they said on one of the documentaries for the first film, that was 2009 film. It was, Star Trek is a classical music as compared to rock and roll, and he brought the rock and roll. And people got to really know, I suppose, Trek in a big way. And, he really blew it open so that it made it more accessible for everyone to be able to watch those things. And I think, Star Wars was always accessible, but now it's even more accessible to such a wide variety of amazing fans out there to check out. And I think maybe some of them got a little bit too precious about Star Wars and have forgotten to enjoy it.
See, the thing is, it's the instant gratification that we have in our society these days. I mean, push a button and bang, you've got the information. Bang, you've got whatever you want. Bang, you can buy something right now and it turns up in a day, 2 days' time at your house. Kids these days, like when you and I were growing up, when we were growing up, you had to wait for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have this instant stuff. We saw a little bit on television.
G'day, mate. How you going? This is Adam O'Brien, and welcome to Fandom Podcast Network. Here, where we enjoy all forms of fandom. Well, coming to you live from Quinlan's Cantina in the Gold Coast of Australia, I bring you Lethal Mullet Podcast, an Australian look at B-grade action films from the 1980s. That's right, going back to that beloved time when we had Chuck Norris on almost every Friday night here in Australia, kicking, punching, and shooting his way to the top, alongside Jean-Claude Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the likes of many of the others that came after him, Sylvester Stallone. We even look at some of the heroes you may not know, all here on one fortnightly podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes. You can check it out also on Podbean if you've got the Podbean app. Make sure you check it out. Now, let's get into the episode here on Fandom Podcast Network.
Welcome to My Saga, a Star Wars fan podcast. Each week we'll bring you stories of how Star Wars impacted so many fans from around the globe, along with Star Wars news, reviews, and discussions.
We would be honored if you would join us.
So grab a scarf soda, deploy the garrison, put your feet up, and join us here today at the My Saga podcast.
Joining me on the next episode of The Fantha from Down Under will be, of course, Blair Hiscock for part 2 of his chat here, and we'll be looking at what he's been up to with My Saga and, of course, what he's been doing with Pop's Culture and in Star Wars fandom in Australia. Also upcoming in the next couple episodes will be also Adam Bray returning to chat to us about his experiences as a writer and an explorer of the world. That's right. And you can also check out the rest of the amazing shows and content of Fantha Tracks at fanthatracks.com. You can also check Fantha Tracks Radio on SoundCloud and iTunes. And if you're going to give a review, please give it on the iTunes channel, because I tell you what, that will help us grow and give you more content, because guess what? Because more podcasts are on the way. That's right. So stay tuned to fanthatracks.com for all the info on that and more. And of course, Mooncat Drums is one of those that's going to be doing a podcast. So stay tuned. You can catch up with me, Adam O'Brien, the Fantha from Down Under, at OB Pop Culture. That's the handle at both Twitter and Instagram, where you can find all sorts of fandom I chat about on there. And you can also check out my other show celebrating 80s action cinema, Lethal Mullet Podcast on Fandom Podcast Network.